everybody, and welcome to Smitty's Diecast and Overhauls. Today we're going to be working on this Hot Wheels Oldsmobile 442 W30. It is a brand new casting from the 2019 set. As you can see, I'm opening it there. It's very nice. I don't very much like the decals on it. And I don't very much like these big white wheels either. So we're going to be turning it into a custom. Sounds good to me. While we watch the 442 do a roll by in its original state, I invite you to like this video and subscribe as well. That way you'll be notified whenever I put out a new video. So as most of these begin, they begin with my trusty drill, and I drill out the pins on the bottom of the casting through the base. You just want to drill off enough that you can stick a pick in the bottom of the base and click it off so that you can click it back on when you're done. Once you've drilled off enough, you just grab your pick and stick it in between and pull the base off, and then you'll be able to see all your parts individually. Here's the casting, and then you have the base, all chrome, with the large bottom section to accommodate the large wheels, a very basic interior, and these large white wheels that I'm not very fond of, so I'll be switching those out. But before we worry about switching those out, we're going to get this casting into some stripper. It helps if you give it a quick sand with some gritty sandpaper. Just gives the stripper something to bite onto. It's just some super remover from Canadian Tire. So next we'll get to the donor vehicle. I found this little fella here. It's a little Tonka truck. I found it at a flea market. Thought it would be perfect because the wheels seem to fit quite well. Just had a little screw and a pin, so I drilled the screw out and took the pin out already. And I thought the wheels would just come right out. It would be really easy, and it is not. So I grabbed my Dremel with just the little burr bit on it there. And I just took a few minutes and wore away the plastic that was blocking in the axle so that it would be accessible. I just went back and forth chipping away the plastic, that way the axle would be accessible. So after a few minutes, and then I picked it out with a screwdriver, the wheels came out. They're going to work great. A few modifications will need to be made though. You can see that the axle does not fit down into the base perfectly. So I grabbed my Dremel with a cutting wheel and I just widened out the axle spacing area all the way around so that these little bit wider axles would fit into the base properly. Just took a few minutes and was careful not to, being it's plastic, if you slip up, it'll cut it and scar it. So just try and take your time and be careful. You can see it fits much better down in there now. So in order to clean it up, I grabbed a file and I just went all the way around all of the rough edges and made sure to get rid of all of those. I also afterward did off camera, I grabbed a rounded file and I went down into the area in which the axle will sit and rounded it off so it would seat much nicer. So it's just a very basic interior. So I painted it very basically. Just wanted to change it from the black, and I went with more of a light brown or tan color. As you can see, I'm just using a fine tip brush and it's a acrylic paint, just craft store acrylic paint. And then I hit it with a clear coat afterwards because it makes it nice and glossy, nice and shiny. I won't be doing very much detail on the inside. I think the most I put was a couple little cup holders. So we'll move on to the base here. I don't want the entire thing to be chrome. So I'm going to do the inside of what will appear to be the wheel well. Some of the black. I will be leaving some of the chrome trim because it will look very good. So while I paint this space in the background, I invite everybody to click the button and give this video a like, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. That way you'll be notified when I put out new videos almost weekly. If you're on Facebook, you can find us at Smitty's Diecast and Overhauls. Give our page a follow. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's at Smitty's Diecast Overhaul. Usually there are daily posts and updates. I also post on Twitter at Smitty's Diecast O. And if you're not into the socials but you do want to give us a contact, you can hit me on my email, smittysdiecastoverhaul@gmail.com. Make sure you find a way to connect. I always reply, and look forward to hearing from you. So you can see I've done the inside of that wheel well there. I did that all the way around, as you can see there. And now I'm also going to paint some of the underside in black. So this black is again an acrylic craft store paint. It has not a gloss finish but a satin finish. But when you hit it with a clear coat, it does shine up very nicely. So I'll be detailing some of the parts that would appear to be undercarriage, and I'll be leaving some of the beams and chrome parts that would normally be under there in a chrome state. I do a lot of the detail work off camera because it's easier to do without my phone and camera set up in front of me. It's easier to do closer to my body. So you can see that's the inside of the interior is complete. I've done the bottom of the base and also all four of the wheel wells. Now I'm moving on to some of the detail work. I'm just using a toothpick and some red acrylic craft store paint, and I'm putting it in the grooves that would be the tail lights. You can see I'm intentionally overpainting it to be sure that I fill the area, and then I will wipe it off with my thumb while it is still wet, and it will completely come off any area that's not supposed to be. I also used a toothpick to detail some front end details on the headlights, turn signals, and license plate. So I set those other pieces aside, and it's time to get the casting out of the stripper. And this paint wanted to hang on fairly well, so I scraped it with, this is quite a stiff plastic bristled brush. So I gave it a good scrape. You can see it coming off fairly well. Didn't come off very well on the inside though. So with whatever left, I was able to get off with my Dremel. You can see there, it's nice and clean, shiny. I was able to get any of the extra paint oxidation off there using my Dremel, the wire brush bit, the smaller wire brush bit, and a pick in the body lines. So we'll set those aside. And you can see that on the fenders here, I've made markings because these wheels are just a little bit bigger than the other wheels, and the way they fit in the base, it rubs on the body. So I'm going to take my Dremel And I'm going to use, this is a burr piece, but I'm not going to use that very much. I actually ended up using a sanding barrel. You can see it there on my Dremel. And there's the first half, and there's the second half I've already completed. And just using a sanding barrel, I'll show you one of the fenders. It's very difficult to do on camera. So I did the one side to show you the difference of the before and after. Then I'll do one of the fenders here. And the rest will be done off camera because it's much easier. I've just made markings in permanent marker so that I could make sure it was even around all the sides. And then I just sand it off and to my permanent marker area. And then check around all four sides to make sure it's even, looks good on all four sides. So after that, casting gets cleaned up. You can see the fenders are all bored out, and it goes for primer. After the primer, I decided to paint it a nice dark blue. Got hit with 2 coats of that. I then taped off the hood and painted it black. Got hit with clear coat. And I also did some minor details. There's a rear turn signal indicator light, and also the door handles I did with my Sharpie silver tip. There's the black hood, the scoops, nice and shiny, clear coated. I did the same with the base. See, I drew in a drive shaft there, detailed all of the pieces under there. You can see I clear coated the interior. There's some minor details, but it's just very basic, so I left it very basic. And the glass, which was brand new, so I didn't do anything with it. So now I'm getting ready to assemble. You cannot put the interior in first, you must put the axles in first. You see they fit down into the base much nicer than they did originally with the customization that was completed. I also rounded out the bottom area of the interior so that the bottom rounding of the base and the top rounding of the interior would hold the axle in straight. Glass fits in just the same as it did before. And casting actually goes together quite nicely. I was able to leave enough on the bottom of the pins that it just clicked back in. That's the way I like it. And then when I am satisfied with it, I will put just a spot into the pinhole. And at any time, if I feel like there needs to be a change, it is just as easy to drill out the pinhole. There's your finished product. I think it looks slamming. Big wheels, big rims, nice glossy paint job, details done front and rear. It's like a brand new vehicle, and it was fun to do too. You can see the interior's done, so you can see it from the outside. And of course, a rolling custom. So we'll just have a quick look at what we started with. There's 2 examples. And here's what we ended up with. I think it looks fantastic. If you do too, make sure you like and subscribe. The socials will run across the top if you missed them before. And I thank you for watching this video. Make sure you tune in for the next one. And as always, we'll see you next time.